Usually I keep these things generally lighthearted, but I'm going to extend credit where credit is due. We're involved in something new, something that we as gym owners, people who run leagues, and course designers are developing as we go. We're actively building the plane as we fly it, and sometimes that's very exciting, but at all times, it's horrifying. There isn't a playbook for this. There's not a how-to manual. In fact, most of the time, we don't even get asked for help. There aren't decades of trial and error, organized, mature programming that we can extract protocol from. We hold our breath and take our best guess. It takes a lot of time to do this well in an industry that doesn't make a ton of money yet. This isn't to be pouty, dark, or weird. I just want to extend the warmest and most genuine thank you to people like Brett Sims and his team for constantly pushing the envelope with obstacle design, creativity, and just being an all-around great place. The village it takes to make this happen includes his team, and you better believe it all contributed to another outstanding top 10 moments brought to you by Silent Ninja. At number 10, we have the Peels. I know I'm missing some, but here are a few from memory that stood out. At number 9, we've got Lily's ridiculous speed performance. In case you were born yesterday, Lily Barrett is fast enough that even after trying to send a critically competitive link and missing, takes the reset time, completes the link, fully sends, and finishes the speed course barely 2 seconds too slow to move on. Number 8 gives us Ashlyn Shield, and yet another instance of an extremely early runner laying down a killer run and hanging on to the very end of the event. To say this competition was stacked is a flagrant understatement. We are deep enough into the year that people are hitting their athletic peak. So proving it wasn't a fluke, she ended the longer, more difficult hybrid course in 5th place, qualified for the speed round, and then the burnout round, capping the event in 7th. The run order is based on rank and placement, meaning Homegirl will probably never run that early again. Number 7 is Jackson Erdos, exhibiting a very real clutch factor. After 2 falls in the open course, he was slotted to place low enough to move on, but run first the rest of the weekend. Although he's on a very short list of people likely up for that task, he had other plans. He absolutely clutched his way through the crux obstacle, seemingly easily, and at the 11th hour of his run. Instead of 15th, this put him in 4th place in the open. The top 4 of the open ended up being the top 4 overall with just a tiny switch. 6, Sydney hits 2 firsts. Well, 3. First time, getting first in the speed round, and her first interview. Try to keep up, I guess.
First place in speed, moving on to burnout. Your first interview, what would you like to say to everybody watching?
Thank you.
In astonishing fashion, Sydney laid absolute waste to the motive speed course. She hit this ridiculous link early on.
I'm gonna do it, and I did it.
And it was all gas, no brakes from there on out. She attributed some of the linking capabilities to her wingspan and height, and it may have played a role in the ability to do so, but I'm convinced she's just been putting in the work. Sending risky but highly competitive moves early on in the course is hard evidence of this, and so is stacking up 6th place overall. 5, Emma Pereira means business this year with a deliberate, dignified march up the leaderboard. Not only did she secure her best performance and stand within the top 3 for the first time in one of the deepest female pools yet, let's take a second to appreciate the attack mode of the burnout. She treated it like a speed course, and I'm here for it. Number 4, we have Porter and Isabella's merciless takedown of this crux end of the course obstacle. Both Isabella and Porter are respected, decorated, competitive, and plain old hard to beat. That could be why, after Porter ran way early in the hybrid and made this skip look not just doable, but relatively easy. Let's pause here. It wasn't. This is nearly the end of a finals level NSC course. That means this is their 2nd day in a row competing. Neither of them live here. this isn't their home gym. The obstacle allows for several more holds to close the distance between here and here. Spoiler alert, none of them are easy to hold on to, let alone withstand the swing on and huck a dismount that probably neared about 10 feet. It's stupid that this is even possible. Isabella may have done one more move before a skip, but the amount of pro women who tried and failed is a testament to how insane it really was. 3. Jake McClintock's performance despite Swanson. Anyway, Jake McClintock won the first NFC he did outside of his home gym, which is Ninja Intensity. That was the opener of the season. It was loaded. He won anyway. To prove it wasn't a fluke, he showed up at Motive, nearly cleared the open course, and I mean, timed out so close to the time limit that all Swan could do was giggle pitifully, and everyone rightfully heckled him. Honestly, the more people who heckle Swan, the better. Knowing that Swan can't get his weird-looking thumb on the clear button fast enough, Jake slaughtered the hybrid course, not giving Swan a chance to time him out. Jake ended the event in 3rd place. The only two to beat him aren't exactly human. We'll get to that later. Number 2, Noah Munir's open run. We've seen Noah perform, duh. We've seen him break beta before, duh. After this bizarre save on the dropping spider, Noah got to one of the headaches of the course, and in one of the coolest big brain moves I've personally seen. Check it out. Here's how this thing works, or is supposed to. The athletes are allowed this chunk of rope. They're able to drape it over a series of hooks, hopping forward and backward. The hooks facing forward swing on a pendulum that draws the athletes forward, progressing the obstacle. Getting to those pendulum hooks takes a huge, terrifying upward and backward swing, which resulted in the end of many, many runs throughout the day. In a sequence that was so clean that it looked practiced, Noah opted to hook one hook, loop the rope manually around the back-facing hook, eliminating one of the most difficult transitions of the course. It saved energy, it looked sweet, and all in all, it was one of those things that make this sport supremely unique. We're at number 1, the Phil and Tyler weekend rivalry. These two could be studied, actually studied. Ninja's knew enough that this would be a highly interesting long-term study on the developing athlete. No matter what, the back and forth between the two throughout the weekend was a neck-and-neck battle that kept us all in the dark until the final round. The open course had 2 full clears. Guess their names. Separated by 4 seconds and 0 fails, the two of them did what the rest couldn't quite do. Tyler taking the lead barely and setting himself up to run last for the rest of the weekend. The hybrid course had 3 full clears, Tyler Smith again in the lead, followed by Jackson, Erdos, and Phil close behind. Up next was speed. And again, the top 3 consisted of the 2 of them, this time Phil in first, Tyler in third, and although separated by only 1 second, Noah Munir squeezed his way perfectly in between the two. This meant it all came down to the burnout. Like clockwork, the two fought themselves into the top 3, with the season's opening champion squeezed between the two, and Phil winning the most heavily weighted round, taking the top podium spot. Motive was a blast. The gym is outstanding. The obstacles were sterling. The people are authentic and great. Thanks a ton to Silent Ninja for sponsoring the top 10 moments. We're nearing the end of the season and you don't want to miss it, so tune in.
Is that the same one that Jake missed?
It is.
Darn.